Praise be to God on this Holy Sunday. I want to tell you we love you a lot and we desire for your good and your greater good as the Lord does. He wants you to be strong. And that's why it's important to understand things even from a 101 perspective, to know the things of the Lord that you may hold firm to them, to know the basics. And that's why I wanted to share with you a reading from this morning's office of readings for this Holy Sunday. It's from the book of Deuteronomy. And Moses spoke to the people saying, "The whole priestly tribe of Levi shall have no share in the heritage with Israel." And this is important to understand. The Lord always operates in the same way. Like, for example, I'm a priest. I'm a priest of the new and everlasting covenant. But in the covenants of old, in particular this one, the covenant of Moses, the Levites were the priestly people. And it said they will have no heritage of their own. No land was parceled out to them. And nor did they do work to gain wages for themselves, because their work was the work of the Lord. The priests were charged to offer sacrifice to God on behalf of the people. So it said, "They shall live on the oblations of the Lord and on the portions due to him. Levi shall have no heritage among his brothers. The Lord himself is his heritage, as he has told him. The priest shall have a right to follow to the following things from the people." So the Lord was setting up what's called the tithe. What is tithed to the Lord from the people, and he was establishing it to go to his priests. From those who are offering a sacrifice, whether the victim is from the herd or from the flock, the priest shall receive the shoulder, the jowls, and the stomach, and you shall also give him the first fruits of your grain and wine and oil, as well as the first fruits of the shearing of your flock. For the Lord your God has chosen him and his sons. He has chosen them out of all your tribes to be always in attendance to minister in the name of the Lord. So that's why it's important for you to understand the reality of tithing. And did you have a responsibility to God to do that? And that's beautiful. And if you can understand and live by that, the Lord himself will be the one to magnify you. To magnify your efforts, your produce, your material wealth, if you will. The Lord's blessing will be with you. But it's also important to know and to understand that you have a stewardship over your material things, the talents and the treasures that the Lord has given you. And these times are difficult to trust and to understand things, especially when we have been deceived and hurt by the poor management of those who should be trusted. And so it's difficult for people to be able to tithe in times, and especially in these times. And that's why I want to encourage you that your tithing can be creative. For example, if you know priests that you love and trust, you can give them your tithing, because that goes to the Lord, that fulfills the precepts of the Lord. And in the work of the Lord, you can also give it to, for example, efforts that are made that you trust to the glory of God and to evangelization. For example, you may have trust to a certain school, a Catholic school, or you may have trust to a certain convent of nuns, or to the work of a deacon, or anything like that that I'm explaining to you. In other words, when you see that your tithings are being abused in some place or by some person, you can give your tithing in a different way, and that's completely acceptable to the Lord. But you are not free to negate your responsibility to tithe, because otherwise you will be offending to the Lord himself. When a Levite goes from one of your communities anywhere in Israel in which he ordinarily resides to visit as his heart may desire the place which the Lord chooses, he may minister there in the name of the Lord his God, like all his fellow Levites who are in attendance there before the Lord. He shall then receive the same portions to eat as the rest, along with his monetary offerings and heirlooms. When you come into a land which your God is giving you, you shall not learn to imitate the abominations of the people that live there. And that's why we always have to be on guard to the falsities and the encouragement of the world that is different than that of God. And in a particular way, I that's in our face all the time is the destruction of marriage. I was just sadly watching earlier the Lord's favorite football team, that's the Dallas Cowboys, and they played poorly and they lost to the 49ers. Maybe you can see my eyes are a little red that I've been crying because their season's over. But during the course of the game, I saw a commercial that was put out by Amazon. And the setting was that there was a wedding. So there was a bride prepared to make her wedding vows. And before they entered into the church, one of the bridesmaids, I guess it was the maid of honor because she was the last there before the bride, she turned around and she was explaining some things to Amazon, that you can, if you're not happy with it, you can return it. But it was an indication that somehow if you're not happy with marriage, that you can exchange it back. And that's not true at all. Although the world sees it that way, and divorce rates are higher than ever, and from most facets of society and family and in every kind of way, it's acceptable, but it's absolutely not acceptable. That's one of the most abhorrent abominations to God, the destruction of marriage. Because in marriage, the man and woman are no longer two, but one flesh. But the world doesn't understand in these times anything of the basics to God. And that's why this is a faithless generation. But I hope that you understand. And in fact, that you recommit yourself wholeheartedly, intellectually, and with all your heart to the things to God. And that you stand for what's holy to God in the world. And that you proclaim to others, even if they reject it. If they reject it, it will be on them. If you do not proclaim it to them, it will also be on you. It said, let there not be found among you anyone who immolates his son or daughter in the fire. There you go, the fire of abortion. There is more innocent slaughter than any other time in history. Abortion is in no way, no time, or in any situation acceptable to God. The Lord who showed us the way to lay down our life for those whom we love. And it's true that there are tremendously difficult circumstances in life, but abortion is never acceptable to the Lord. He continues, you shall not see or put yourself before any fortune teller, soothsayer, charmer, diviner, or caster of spells, nor one who consults with ghosts and spirits or seeks oracles from the dead. There's plenty of that to go around today also. And especially to my beloved Hispanic culture, many people think that they can mix their faith to God with such things as curanderos. Not acceptable to the Lord. You cannot serve to both God and the world at the same time. You will be a loser. So if you find yourself or members of your family in practice such as those, you better put an end to it. Anyone who does such things is an abomination to the Lord, and because of such abominations, the Lord your God is driving these nations out of your way. You see, nations who do that or peoples who do that will be destroyed by the Lord. You, however, must be altogether sincere to the Lord your God. And though these nations whom you are to dispossess listen to their soothsayers and fortune tellers, the Lord your God will not permit you to do so. A prophet like me, the Lord your God will raise up from among your own kinsmen. To him you shall listen. And it's true that even in hard or difficult times, unbelievable times as we find ourselves, the Lord will always be true to his promise to raise up true prophets. And that's why I encourage you to look for them and never to be discouraged as if the Lord would leave you alone. You do your part. The Lord will do his part.